Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Very interesting tell-all by Thomas regarding Becca Kufrin's firing from last year from the Bachelor podcast, Bachelor Happy Hour. If you want some real happy hour, you can check out Bachelor Rush Hour. We have morning and afternoon episodes where we're going absolutely buck wild over the Super Bowl recap. You're going to love a Little John rap by me. But either way, that's not about me. Thomas explaining the beef. Very interesting stuff. Do me a favor. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'll be announcing some new stand-up shows shortly. And also I'll be live at the 12 p.m. hour Central Time Zone on patreon.com/Dave Neal. So before we share the update to the beef from Thomas, first we have to get into what was actually said a few months ago, because this beef has gone on for a while. Here's what Thomas initially said defending Becca Kufrin from Bachelor's negligent business practices. He's now asking for an apology. I think it's very fair what he's asking for, but let's catch up on what he said 6 months ago, and then we'll give you the update.
There was a business decision that was made. That's a decision I don't even disagree with. What I have a problem with, what I am frustrated in, and what I am distancing myself from is there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do things. Over the last 3 months, I have witnessed an absolute masterclass in how you should not implement change, how you should not roll out new strategies, and how you absolutely should not treat people. This is in no way meant to be a distraction or take away from anything that Charity's doing. We want her to have an incredible experience as Bachelorette. We want her to thrive in life. This is no way a complaint in who's hosting a podcast.
No, because people were complaining. All right, so very interesting stuff. This coming during charity season of the podcast. I think it's so great whenever you see individuals stand up to their bosses and former bosses. I absolutely love it. I've said this from day one. They sort of let go of Becca Kufrin. It was a last-minute decision. She was probably one of the last people to know. And it's like, how about a little respect? I mean, now you could look at it in either way. You could be sort of a bootlicker for the bosses and go, well, they paid her to be the Bachelorette. They made her who she is, blah, 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 blah. But also they profited off of, the storylines. I mean, real crazy stuff. Everyone goes through crazy stuff. I wish more of the contestants spoke out specifically to who they actually had the beef with. In this case, it seems that beef being the decision makers that didn't do, I guess, their due diligence to correctly, change tides. Here's what Thomas has to say. Now, he answers some questions that are not related to this, but I wanted to play his full Q&A. Have a listen.
Apparently, one of the conditions she made when coming on the show was having the producers promise her no matter what happens, they wouldn't let her go home with somebody. So, yeah, she broke up with me. I didn't see that one. That sucked. But look at us now.
I mean, that was wild, right? I mean, the fact that Thomas and Becca broke up and the fact she didn't give him the heads up as to why they were breaking up on the show. Maybe she did actually want to break up because she knew that whatever happens in paradise isn't real life. Either way, they are battle tested and approved for real life now.
I would rather be tarred and feathered.
The question, are you going to Kenny and Mari's reception in Chicago?
I miss Kenny and Mari's wedding reception. It's my last chance to try to win them back. It's my last chance.
All right, so then we do teeth whitener. Someone said, when will we see Benny's face? He says he accidentally showed it a few times. Look, I've seen Benny's face. I guess I'm cool enough that I've seen how cute he is. I love that they don't have to show their baby's face. As I've said before, when it comes to my baby, I think we're just gonna try our best to not put him front and center. But if I'm in a video and with my wife and there's a baby in the background sleeping, it's like whatever. We're not, you know what I mean? I'm not. No offense to my family here, but I'm not the royal family. I don't think people are going to be paying for photos of my baby. Although I wish they would, and if they did, there's always a price for everything. So I'm
finishing up. Benny was literally a Christmas morning miracle.
The question was: the baby planned?
When everyone else fell asleep after opening up presents and had a little too much breakfast.
So let me get this right. You had breakfast and then procreated? I've never heard. I'll tell you, when I have too much Christmas breakfast, I go back to sleep. Who's got the energy for procreation when you've had waffles? I just don't get it.
He was pseudo-planned. Like, we had just agreed we wanted to start trying to have kids, and bam, pregnant. and it is the best thing that could have happened.
And listen, people love the baby content because we all come from families, we all come from moms, and some of us have kids. One of my channels, the Tasha Courtney and Dave Neal Do Fun Things, our vlog channel, is getting crazy views right now because we're literally just sharing about moving into our new home and all of the random things. The hot water heater went down, so it's just amazing that people actually, they like real life stuff, and that's what we have. And again, that's what you're seeing with Thomas now. I mean, who would have thought coming off of Katie Thurston's season that he might be one of the next people to have a baby? I mean, life comes at you fast.
Let's get a little spicy here.
So the question was, why weren't you and Becca featured in the list of successful couples last Paradise? Great question. Thomas says, let's get spicy. We love spices.
All right. We weren't included because in order for them to use photos that they no longer own the rights to, they need to get permission from everybody that they're showing. When they asked us, we said no. The reason that we said no and the reason why we currently have this stance, very simple. I personally, and we are waiting for an apology to Becca from the way that things were handled.
I love Thomas's character. You know, it would have helped their business to be featured on the show as one of the happy couples that made it out of the season. It would have helped their business. But due to principle, they say no. The same principle that says he doesn't want to have to put his baby on camera. He doesn't want to play ball with the producers because they violated. And you could say, well, this is his ego or whatever. But, you know, it's like he's got a principle. And he feels like they violated that being the way they let Becca go. And he's saying, no. I mean, if you apologize, sure. But if you're not going to be sorry for what you did to us, why are we going to help you? Love it. Love it.
I don't want to get too much further into it.
But
she wasn't treated the right way. And amends have not been made. And all it takes is an apology that she still hasn't received. So,
and by the way, it's not even ego because it's Thomas defending his lady. I mean, how great is this? You know, I find this out with my relationship when my wife was working in fashion. I would be so upset about the way that she was treated, probably more upset than she was. No, you're going to go in there. Don't take this from them. We're going to, you know, it's like that's what you want in a relationship. You want someone to go to bat for you. Thomas clearly knows that priority with Becca.
When that happens, I mean, game on. I got nothing but love for everybody, but it's just you got to right that wrong, people.
Wow.
Stand by that.
Next question. Do you finish all the projects you start? And also, do you have ADHD? He says, this feels a lot like entrapment. I finished the projects, although not on anything that resembles a fixed schedule. Yes, ADHD is at play here. Oh, come on. I mean, side projects are called side projects for a reason. You know what I mean? He's not a full-time carpenter. The guy's out there being a breadwinner. He's working. He's busy. He's a dad. So what else do we have? Question, how did you win Becca back after Bachelor in Paradise?
We'll defer this one.
Well, it was the other way around. I had to win this one back. So I groveled for a little bit. I cried for a little bit. And then I told him all about my mean lasagna that I make. And he fell right in love.
The lasagna was terrible and she trapped me with it.
That is very accurate.
I don't know how you can make bad lasagna. If you burn the cheese, it's still burnt cheese. It's good stuff. I mean, maybe if the pasta is a little too soggy or if you mess up the bolognese sauce, I don't know. I'd love to try Becca's lasagna to see if it's actually bad. My lasagna, the secret is however much ricotta it says to put into it, double it. And if your lasagna recipe doesn't say to put ricotta in it, that's where you've gone wrong. You know what I've been doing is I've actually been getting some of those cauliflower pizza crusts over there at Aldi's. They have them in a few other stores, right? The pepperoni pizza. You know what I've been doing to spice up store-bought frozen pizza? I've been throwing dollops of ricotta cheese in. You might say, Dave, what's a dollop? You'll know a dollop when you see one. You take a scoop of it, and then you just ka-ding, right onto the 5 or 6 dollops. Spread them out so every slice gets its own dollop. You're welcome in advance.
I appreciate the honesty. I gave her my number when we were filming.
Question, how did you get back together? Is there anywhere we can hear the story? Well, come on Driving with Dave, and then we can get the full story.
And she texted me when she got her phone back, and I was in the airport. And we just scheduled a time when she was back in town that she would come visit me in San Diego, and we would take things slow and see where it goes. And then Told her to cancel her hotel room, and we're off to the races. Sound about right?
That's very accurate.
Cancel the hotel room. Big boy Tommy T-Bones over here coming in saying, hey, you're not going to need that king-size bed, no smoking, Hyatt Plus, you know what I mean? You're coming to stay with me. And Becca's like, oh, daddy, I guess I don't have a choice here. And look at that. They got a kid now. So, when things work out, they work out.
It happened organically, and it was just natural. We didn't really skip a beat after filming, which was nice.
I don't know what the truth is. You know what I mean? She says she groveled back for him. Maybe there's more to the story. I'm sure he was very upset after getting dumped. I mean, imagine that. You get dumped by someone on Paradise. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised the conversation didn't happen, and maybe it did. Maybe this is where they're still playing ball with Bachelor producers. I'm surprised the conversation doesn't happen where Becca goes, I'm about to dump you on camera. Feel your feelings, but I'll see you in San Diego. Like that type of deal. I would think there's way more of those backdoor dealings where you're going, look, we're not leaving here engaged. We're playing the game. I'm going to dump you. Feel it. Be real with it. But trust me, don't lose my number. I'll go on a date with you tomorrow morning. There she is. Aren't they a beautiful couple? Question, do you have any plans to move in the near future?
Thomas actually wants to move back to Minnesota.
Do you want to tell the real thing?
Just kidding. We love Minnesota. That's not happening. But we have been looking at
breaking news,
getting property in Ojai and building some tiny homes there to rent out and to probably just have us live for like half the year. But
specifically, we're buying land in Ojai and developing it into a little retreat.
All right, there you go. They want to get into the Airbnb world. Look, I mean, I've got mixed feelings towards it, but at least there'll be building homes. I don't like Airbnb when we're stealing homes from people that might live there. But if you're going to build tiny homes for retreat purposes, that doesn't tick my moral conundrum chart. You know what I mean? If you're going to buy a bunch of family homes in Los Angeles and run people out of town so that you can maximize short-term rental, that's a little shitty. But if you want to invest your own money into a retreat, let me tell you, Tommy boy, sign me up. My wife and I love Ojai. You got the wine, that's pretty much it. You got wine and countryside, and women eat that up. Maybe some fireside camping at the end of the night, maybe some breakfast, although be careful. We know what happens when Thomas eats breakfast. Come on, folks.
God.
So,
what he said. But I'm going to have goats, and so he'll do the housework, I'll do the goat work.
It's going to be a fun project from the ground up, so stay tuned. You heard it here first.
Hopefully it works out.
What is the one thing I want more than
Question, are y'all going to have more kids eventually?
anything on this entire planet?
To buy me a Burger King.
No.
Happy wife, happy life.
What is the one thing I want more than anything on this entire planet?
A baby girl.
A little one of these. I need it.
I don't disagree with Thomas. I would love one as well, but I would also be nervous to state that because the pressure on the ovaries. I mean, now it's like, what do you, it's like, hey, what comes out, you know what I mean?
Another thing I'm going to yell.
Question, why did she break up with you on Paradise? Was she forced to?
For most likely. She had a cabin in Minnesota trip dialed up with her family that she could not miss. And unfortunately, that meant sacrificing my feelings.
Yeah, I had to leave Mexico by June 24th, and I did. It's up to Jill Kufrin.
She didn't tell me about any of
Yeah,
this.
but you know what? I popped out your baby, so let's call it even.
So Becca's response, I popped out your baby, so let's call it even. I think that's a deal breaker. I think Thomas is like, well, there's literally nothing I can say. You built a baby and popped it out, and for that, you win basically all arguments for a long time.
Fine. Here's the crazy thing about
Next question. Why were you portrayed as the villain on your season when you're actually the nice guy?
this question is top to bottom. You can ask any of the guys, anyone working it. You could ask Miss Thurston herself. I was probably the nicest guy there, if not one of the nicest. Like, I wanted to see everybody win. And that's when things just went crazy sideways for me, because people then were questioning, like, what is he really going, what is he doing? Like, what's going on here? I was genuinely just showing up as myself, trying to love on everybody. and that backfired catastrophically.
And we remember, I think Becca Kufrin unfollowed Katie, or they had what not probably superficial beef. I'm sure when Katie got to meet Becca and see Thomas again, it was all water under the bridge. Like, if anything, I'm sure Becca Kufrin understands the dilemma Katie's in, where you're told one thing and something else could possibly be going on and you don't know what the truth is. I mean, we're seeing that right now with Joey's season, which we'll have next. By the way, we'll be live streaming at 7 p.m. East Coast, 4 p.m. Pacific before tonight's episode.
Like, but it worked out great. But it was just fucking wild. Like, wild. Last question regarding the show.
Question: are you surprised you found real love from going on Paradise? What were you expecting?
But the reason why I think it worked in VIP is because I showed up as the same exact person. That's who I am. And when you have a collective of people, not everyone with all their eggs in one basket, everybody saw like, oh shit, that's just who he is. And Becca saw that, and that's who we've continued to be, and that's why it was so natural when we got back together, and that's why VIP is just such an incredible format. It was some of the best times of my life, and the people that I met there and the people I continue to grow with, including my wife and son, it's incredible, and it really allows people to be themselves if they choose to be. And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
I mean, amazing. How can you argue with Thomas right there? If I'm whoever needs to apologize to Thomas, I'm getting on that phone so fast right now. Becca Kufrin and Thomas Jacob are Bachelor royalty in the current era, and you can't argue otherwise. Either way, good to hear from Thomas. We tried, trust me when I say this, we tried really hard to get an interview with Thomas. It was right when Becca was super pregnant. I was about to leave town. Thomas lives in San Diego. I'm in LA. It was tough. But I tell you this, next time I'm in SoCal, I will be showing up ready to go. Although I won't bring breakfast, because I know what happens when you bring waffles. But either way, syrup, it gets sticky. But either way, very happy for them and their growing family, and more to come. Wouldn't that be nice if I was able to get Thomas and Becca in the same car? You know, what's actually interesting is that we were able to get a 1 out of 10 video from my interview with Braden and Christina, which became an article right here. They wrote it in the Us Weekly, so you know that it's good. And of course, there's a link to the show. You can go click on that. All right, and all that jazz. We have a but either way, if you're one of the few who hasn't watched it, my interview with Braden and Christina is out, and hopefully we can get Becca and Thomas. But you know who I can get right now is Hannah Brown or Wells Adams. They're Nashville natives. So or they at least live in Nashville. So if anyone wants to DM either one of them and say Dave Neal is trying to get you on there driving with Dave, by all means, we can use all of your help. We'll be back with more content right after this.